Today I will be showing you the figure 8 start for seaming. The figure 8 start for seaming is used to match the cast-on edges of your pieces before you begin a vertical seam. So anywhere you are using mattress stitch or one of its variants. So to start, you need to match up your cast-on edges and your bind-off edges of the pieces you are seaming. So if you don't know how to find your cast-on edge, this used the long tail cast-on. So the cast-on edge has this series of slanting swoops. And then the bind-off edge used a traditional bind-off, and that looks like a column across the top of chain stitches, crocheted chain stitches. So I have my pieces lined up, and we're looking for our columns of selvage stitches. So if you've got the swatches lined up from cast-on edge to bind-off edge, you should have a full V column of selvage stitches along the side. And here is my left-hand column of selvage stitches, and here is my right-hand column of selvage stitches. And we will be seaming in the space in between that column of selvage stitches and the next column in. So right there. So to start, we will thread our tapestry needle onto our tail, and I'm using a contrasting color thread here, but if you were seaming your project, you would leave a long tail on your one side and you would thread your tapestry needle onto that and use that to begin the seaming. And we will start on the side opposite from where the tail is originating from. So we'll begin over here. And you want to find that space between those columns right above the cast-on edge. So right here is where we will be beginning. And you are working from the back to the front, from underneath through. And you want, so from the back to the front, you go underneath through that space. And you could use just the front strand of the cast-on edge. That's perfectly acceptable. I don't like how that looks because it tends to pull and distort the fabric there. I like to make sure I get both strands of the cast-on edge, especially when you're using long tail. So there's two strands there when using long tail. So I like to make sure I catch both of those strands. That's more stable and, in my opinion, tends to look better. So you go from back to front and you pull through, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail there, but you would pull with your project thread pretty snug, but not too snug, because you want this loose to begin with to work with. So then you move to the other side, and you're going to do the same thing in that same space, but on this side. So I'm going to be using this space right here, but from back to front. So underneath from back to the front. And I make sure I get both of those strands of that long tail cast on. And you pull, not too tight yet. And now to complete the figure 8, you go back to this side and you do the exact same move again as you did to start it, from back to front, and I make sure I've got those same two strands. So you want to go in the exact same spot in the exact same way. And you can see that that makes a figure 8 with your seaming thread. Right, like that. And then I will gently snug those up, and you can see it makes a very nice, fairly seamless start along that cast-on edge, and it lines those swatches, those pieces up perfectly to set you up for mattress stitching your seam. And yeah, so that is the figure 8 start for beginning a vertical seam. Thanks for watching.